Alright, and we are live. I am going to give just a couple of minutes for people to join. I know we have people joining from a few different areas. I know we're on YouTube as well as the Google Meet. And I'm going to go while people are getting situated. Make an announcement. Cool. All right. It is about, I'm going to give about 60 more seconds for people to get in, and then we will get started. There we go. All right, people are rolling in now. I am going to go ahead and apologize up front. Because of some technical limitations, I am going to have to admit people into the meeting while this thing is going on. So I will try to keep an eye on all that. But you have to forgive me if I miss a few beats. That said, it is 2 after, so we will go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining. A few housekeeping items right up front. This is being simulcast at a few different spots. YouTube, Meet. We were talking for a little while about simulcasting it in the Discord. Decided not to. However, with all that going on, there's a lot of different places where people can chat. And I won't see any of them. I'm going to have too much going on to see. I do have someone from the affiliate team who hopefully can answer some questions, but if you want to ask a question during the presentation, there is one and exactly one place where you can do that. That is, you need to go to the link in the blue bar that is above LPTexas Local Candidate Recruiting Training. It's got a little link there that says slides.app.goo.goal/lowercase in PAQ, and in fact I'm going to really quickly drop that in the chat. Let me see.
John, is there anything you can do to improve your audio quality? One of our guests says you're a little staticky.
I'm staticky. I'm hearing.
I turned my headset down and he said it got a little bit better, but I don't know if there's anything else to do.
Okay, I'm hearing that I'm staticky. I don't really know. I'm not sure what to do on that. Let's see, I am going to real quickly, let me get this done. So I am dropping the link both in the Google Meet as well as in the YouTube chat. Hopefully my audio has improved because I'm not really sure what else there is to be done. When I talk quieter, it's fine, but when I get louder, it vibrates. Okay, good to know. I actually might be able to fix that. So, give me 1 second. Hopefully that improves it a little bit. Cool. And thank you for the feedback. So anyway, as I was saying, there's one and exactly one place where you can ask questions live, and that is at that slides.app.goo.goal/RNPAQ, and you should see a link in whatever chat is near you. That will be available throughout this training, and as your questions come up, they will appear over there on the right-hand side. And in fact, if we want. We'll make sure it's working real quick. Boom, test question. And I can even present it or hide it. We'll like it. Okay, cool. So that is how you can get to me during the presentation, and we will have time for Q&A afterward. That said, let's get started. So, first thing you need to know is with this training presentation, we do have a related files, and to get to that, you can go to, I'm going to drop this one as well. You can go to tinyurl.com/LPT local candidate training. And that, let me make sure I dropped the link correctly. Yes, that will get you to the folder that has all the files for... Okay, I'm seeing feedback that the questions aren't working. Let me check that. Oh, okay. So Amanda, you should be able to ask a question now. I had it set to only LPTexas email addresses. So if you were trying to ask questions earlier and you weren't able, that should be fixed. You should also see in the chat now this URL. This will lead to related files. Okay, cool. Hopefully the rest of this presentation will go a little smoother. Okay. So the way we broke up this presentation was over time spans, I guess I'll say. Being that this is mainly directed at the county affiliates, everything within that is based on election calendars and at what times of the year you need to be preparing what tasks. So that's how we kind of broke up this training. If we look at our November and December tasks, first up, we need to identify offices up for election. Ways we can do that, we're going to actually literally go through and make a list of everything. And we're going to see later on, I'm going to go and do that live. We're going to pull up a map of the county and list every single incorporated city and ISD within the borders. Now, you can either do that with the map, like it says here. The other way that's going to be really helpful is in that related files link, there is a training links document. If you go into the training links document and see list of cities in your county, you'll see a link there you can click on. And that is a website that all it does is you put in your county and it tells you every incorporated city within your county. And so you can just go there, copy those, paste them. You got every city. You can do the same thing with every ISD in your county with another link in there that says list of ISDs in your county. Makes it super easy to go through and get all those. And I'm going to say that's a 10% of your work done right off the bat. There may be other types of local municipalities you need to worry about. Right off the top of the head, water districts, hospital districts. There's one other I thought of the other day. Libraries. Local libraries will sometimes have a library district. Any of those are for nonpartisan election, depending on how the charter is set up. And there's going to be an ongoing theme throughout this training where I'm going to be qualifying everything I say with depending on how it's set up, because there is a lot of latitude from one city to the next and how they set up their government. So a lot of this is going to be you figuring out how your local municipalities handle their own stuff and documenting it. Once you're done identifying all the offices up for election, which, like I said, we're going to be doing later, you want to save that document, because though the way they do it can change, it doesn't change often. So year over year over year, that information is going to be useful to you. I put in 3 years here on the slide because most municipalities run on a 3-year cycle, but that is not universal. So you've gotten through November, December, or you're in November, December, and you're trying to identify all the elections. So while you're in the process of identifying those, you're going to want to go into each city and ISD's website in order to help identify that. You want to go to the elections area of the website. And often especially with the ISDs, but with the municipalities, it will not be easy to just link into the elections area. And I find it most helpful to just search for elections, because often there will be better search optimized on the back end than it will be to navigate the front. Nathan's saying that his cities have them each year, and yeah, that's pretty common. Although we'll see here in a little bit when we get to it that they will rotate around. You want to list the offices up for election, which we're going to do that in a second. Locate and store a map with the district information. This location and storing of the map is going to be different in different municipalities depending on if your municipality elects at large, meaning everybody in the city elects each rep, or by district, meaning only the people in the district that rep represents elect them. We'll look at how that looks when we get there. But if your municipality elects by district, having that district map is very important. So make sure and store that. Look up the qualifications for each type of office. Usually it'll be 1 year in the city and 6 months. It says 6 months in the city. What it usually says is 1 year in the city and 6 months within the district. That can change depending on if it's an at-large city or not. It always has to be registered voter by the deadline, and that's because that's enforced at the state level. And then in the links document, there are some general SOS election requirements that you can look at, though I would tell you it is going to be easier to look on your municipality's website than the SOS website, just because the SOS documentation is so broad as to almost not be useful. Look up the dates for each office. So one of the things that I found when I was doing mine is that while most of the municipalities do it on the uniform election date in May, which is sometime between like May 1st and May 5th, one of the municipalities does theirs in November. That may be your particular situation. So there are certain uniform dates that the state enforces for these types of elections, but the municipalities are not required to abide by them completely. They have some limited latitude. So you're going to want to look at the election dates. And the filing requirements for each office. So this is going to be like your finance reports. These can also vary. Some can be turned into a city secretary, some to a county elections office, and I think there may even be some that that they forward on and are handled by the TEC. So you just need to be mindful as to which of those your municipality falls into. So the map. So identify members, potential candidates, and map them. So this is something I actually did when I was living in Cherokee. We went down to a local print shop and printed out a district map for our county. We stuck it on some corkboard so we could put pins in it, and we started putting pins as to where different members lived, and that way we could map them out by district and actually see where our party concentration was. Loved it. I think this is a great tool. However, the state party, and we actually started this before this was finalized, but the state party has made a deal that has that should be going through soon that will allow counties access to L2 data, and part of L2's function is a mapping function. So it may be possible to leverage L2 as your map, and what would be good about that is because it's an online resource, you can let multiple people collaborate with that instead of having one physical copy that resides in someone's house. Let's see, put the pins in, put out an ask, see who steps up. With this ask, I highly encourage you to start early and just ask all your members who's available, but you may find after you put out your first ask that doesn't immediately yield results with people wanting to step up and run for office. And after that initial kind of wide net ask, you're going to want to, can I elaborate on L2? I will come back around to L2, yes. You will want to turn around and find some of your key races that are more vulnerable and do more targeted asks. Find out which members are in those districts and specifically ask them, tell them you have a viable race, tell them what support they're going to be getting, tell them what's expected of them, and ask directly to a person to run for office. You're going to get a lot more conversions that way. Marry the two. So when I say marry the two here, I mean take your list of people and your list of offices and match up who's wanting to run and what offices they're available for. And if you don't have time to go through and do this exhaustively like I did for my county, and I'll show you in a little bit, you can definitely take the people who are running and just map out their municipalities. So now let's get into kind of the meat here, because I feel like I've done a bunch of prep work talking about how this works, but in this particular one I think it's going to be more useful to show you. So that said, we're going to do a live example spreadsheet. So, give me 1 second. Left screen. Okay, there we go. So, for this portion of the training, I have picked 3 different cities, and I have 2 where I'm hoping to get a good spread off these because I haven't done these yet. I'm hoping to get a good spread of the types of cities and show you how to use this spreadsheet that is in the related files. If all of these end up to be kind of the same and I don't hit some of the key points I want to, I do have 2 I've already done that I can walk through and give you kind of a rundown of some of the weird stuff you're going to run into. So, let's say I lived in a county that included these municipalities. I have Houston, Texarkana, and Palestine. This is going to be a very large, a mid-sized, and a smaller municipality that we could look for offices that are up for election within. So we will start with Houston. So first thing I want to do is show you the key points of the spreadsheet. So all the way on the far left, this is going to be the name of the municipality that you're running in. if you go into the links and you find the list of cities, you can literally copy them and take them one at a time, paste them in here. This next column I'm going to use to put a link to the election page that I mentioned earlier. And then if they run by district, I'm going to put a link to their district map here. If they run at large, I'm just going to put the text at large here so I'll know later. This column right here, I have seen municipalities that, as Nathan mentioned, elect every year. I've seen them where they elect on 2-year cycles. I've seen them where they elect on 3-year cycles, all the way up to 4. I haven't seen anything, nothing more than 4. But once you find out what cycle your municipality elects on, you put it here. So let's say we have a 3-year cycle. Also, it'll give me 3 spots there. I could have one on a 5-year cycle, and it gives me 5 spots there. Or I could have one on a 2, 4, or even 1-year cycle, and it will give me however many spots are in that cycle once I just enter the number of years in the term for that particular municipality. Up in the top left here, there is a little cell that says election year. I have it set to 2023 because that's what's coming up, but if you think of it like a clock face with 12 all the way back around, that's kind of how I have these cycles laid out. So it goes year 1, year 2, year 3, and then back to year 1 in a circle, or 5 or 2 or whatever. So if I go and put in 2022, that'll highlight the elections happening in that year. If I put 2021, it'll do the same there, 2020. And so if you're trying to look at any particular given year, even in the future, 2065, oh, sorry, I put 265, 2065, it'll go highlight at what position you would be at in that particular election cycle based on what year you enter here. So we want to look at the 2023 election. And so we're going to start with Houston. So I'm going to open up a new tab here. I'm going to type City of Houston election page. Real simple. General election of candidates 2023, and they're doing it in November of 2023. Okay, right off the bat, November 7th, 2023. So I mentioned that some municipalities do it in November. Here we have one. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this, and I already have my first bit. I have my election link. That is a link to the election page. And I see this one has mixed. It seems right off the bat that they have a mayor. Council members A through K are districted. That probably means they are, Nathan's saying Houston is different than the rest of Texas. I promise you, Nathan, I have a sheet where I did about 26 of them. Every one is different than every other one. So this one, and I have seen some of these that have mixed at-large and district members. So this one, it seems like A through K are elected by district. That doesn't mean they're not elected at large, but it could possibly mean that these people have to reside in their district. So we'll get into that later, how they're elected. And then they do have some at-large members. And then a city controller, it looks like that is also an elected position. So, let's see, there's quite a few here. So first thing we know off the bat, November 7th, 2023. So all of these are up for election. So what I'm going to do next is, first I want to know how many years. So I'm going to try and find how many years. Let's go to the city council page, because a lot of times it will tell you when they were elected. Elected in 2019. Okay, so here's a hint. 19 and is serving her first term. So 19 to 23, it looks like they are on 4-year terms. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that assumption that these are 4-year terms. And 2023 is going to be here. So I want to see the rest of these. So I'm just going to actually click through. I want to see all of these guys right here. And I'm going to bet they all say 2019 or later. So this one, doesn't say when they were elected. Okay, so that's not for sure. I'm going to do a quick search, 2019. Yep, that one was elected 2019. This one doesn't say. This one doesn't say. So I'm in 2019. Yep. So I'm seeing quite a few 2019s here. So what I'm going to guess off the bat, and we'll confirm whether this is true later, is that they have all positions up for election every 4 years to serve 4-year terms. That may not be true, but that is my best guess now. So what I know now is that mayor, A through K, 1, 2, 3, 4, and city controller. So here's what I'm going to put. So we have long mayor, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, controller are all up for election. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap it so you can see them all. Okay, I now need to go look at districts because they mentioned district. So, candidate eligibility requirements. United States citizen, 18 years older, not convicted of a felony, resided continuously in Texas for 12 months, immediately preceding the filing deadline. Okay. Candidates for mayor, city controller at large must reside continuously in the city for 12 months. It's good to know. For candidates for district council members, must have resided continuously in the territory encompassed by the city council district to be served for 12 months immediately preceding election day. Per local government code, a resident of an area annexed for limited... We don't care about the annexations. Must be registered to vote in the territory from which the office is elected. Okay. So the next thing I want to do... I want to go to government. This didn't have what I want, so I'm going to say City of Houston District Map. All districts, right here. This is what I'm looking for. Boom, I got my next piece. Go my district map link. Oh, take this off. There we go, district map link. And I am going to check for one more thing, Code of Ordinances. This is actually where I can confirm, redirect me. I can actually confirm anything I want from the Code of Ordinances. It's just harder to find. So I'm going to get a few questions while this is coming up. Amanda asks, is there a way to make spreadsheets list positions by year? Like LaPorte has 3 positions open this year and 3 next year. Yes, Amanda, and actually that's what the spreadsheet was designed for, and hopefully we'll get to one that has that. Oh, yeah, and Nathan is confirming that my assumptions were right. Yep, and they have 2 terms. But Nathan's confirmed my suspicions are correct, but that doesn't matter because we won't always have Nathan here to answer questions. So I'm going to continue to confirm general provisions. Let's see. Somewhere in here, usually under general provisions, there will be a whole section on the composition of the city council, maybe under administration. Here we go. Establishment and function of mayor and council members. And I'm just going to search here. COUNCIL. Here we go. Here we go. For terms of office, council members commencing in 1980 and continue until such time as the number of council members is increased, provided below, there shall be 14 council members designated as follows. The districts at large, that can be increased. It shall be the duty of city council to establish the boundaries of districts covering the entire city for purposes of electing district council members. Such boundaries shall be, so this is important right here. It shall be the duty of the city council to establish the boundaries of districts covering the entire city for the purpose of electing district council members. So, whereas some municipalities will have districts from which you can select council members, this one has districts for the purpose of electing district council members. So what that tells me is that only people in those districts can elect those particular council members. In each year during which a city general election is to be held, the city council shall conduct an investigation to determine the population. Section 5, elections. A city general election shall be held on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November of every other odd-numbered year or such other day as may be prescribed in general law. So, every other odd-numbered year tells me every 4 years. So, that tells us that we have Houston correct. We have the name, we have the link to the election page, we have the district map. It's a 4-year term. Because it's done every 4 years, these ones are going to be blank. And this is what gets elected in this year. So later on, whenever you're updating your when it comes to May, and we'll want to put a link here, or a note here that says November, because these happen in November. So later on, when 2024 comes around, to type that in, there's no elections. 2025 comes around, again, no elections. 2026, and the next one will be in 2027. And when 2027 comes around, it'll highlight this cell, and we will know it's election year again when you start looking at things. So, next, let's look at Texarkana, since we have gotten through Houston, and hopefully this will be quicker. Election page. General election. City, Texarkana, Texas. That one's tricky because you got to make sure you're on the right one. General election, November 8th, 2022. Okay. Here we go. So here's what we see right off the bat. In 2022, they held a general election. There were 2 city council seats up for the general election, Ward 4 and Ward 6. Both positions are for 3-year terms. Only the incumbents are running. So, here's what I know. I'm going to go back to 2022. I have 2023. Well, first, Texarkana, I know is a 3-year term. I suspect because those 2 were up for 3-year terms. I'm going to go here and put 2022. So I'm highlighting that. And in November, Ward 4 and 6 were elected. So here, 4, 6. In 2022, that's what was elected. Now let's go look for 2023. And I also know this was in November. Okay. Government. I see here there's a mayor, Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, 4, 5. So there's 6 places it looks like. I want to open all these pages like I did before. Aha. Term currently serving, 12 to 24. So this is actually key. It tells me right off the bat that goes to 12. How long is this election for? Is this a 12-year election? I don't know what that means by 15 to 24, unless Texarkana has the longest term I've ever seen. I'm guessing that what they're saying is that's when they were originally elected. So I'm going to stick with the 3-year, the 3-year terms. And we'll say in 2024, the mayor's up. So I'm going to come here, 2024. We have the mayor up. Next up, we have Ward 1, also in 2024. So 1, Ward 2, 2024. 2. Ward 3 is in 2023. So let's come here. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say 5. Because that's the only one left. So 3 is 23. 4 is 22. I think we noted that. Yep. And these all say November. That's key too. 2023 is 5. We noted that. 6 is 22. So I want to go back and note this. Okay, so that is how their election scheme plays out. We also were able to get the election page here. And now we want to see district map. Development map. So I'm not seeing off the bat a district map. So I'm going to suspect that means they're elected at large, but I need to confirm that. So, real quick, government, code of ordinances, municicode. And I'm just going to search large. Nope. No, I don't care. That's not there. These are the wards. This is requirements for office. Ward redistricting. 3 of the So here is a map. Okay. So now we have this map. And what else? I need to confirm if they are elected by ward. One last thing, City of Texarkana election code. I don't want election page. Sorry. Municipal code. Okay, municipal code, our friend. General provisions. I don't see anything there. There we go. Composition. Yep, that's a library commission. Airport Authority. All right, we're going to try one more thing. Election, general election. The regular election of members of the council to the places on the council occupied by members of the council whose terms are expiring shall be held first Saturday in May of each year. In every such election, qualified voters shall vote for not more than one candidate for each council place to be filled. Okay. Such elections shall be ordered by the council, mayor of the city. This reads to me like they're elected at large. So I want to just look for one thing. I'm so close. What do we call that? Ward. Let's try the word ward. I want to try that. Okay, number and selection, terms of office, remuneration. There we go. Council composition. The council shall be composed of 7 members consisting of 6 wards, council members, and a mayor. Candidates for mayor shall be voted on by the qualified voters of the city at large. Candidates for ward council members shall be voted on only by the qualified. Okay, there we go. So the mayor is at large, and each ward is voted on only by their ward. So that tells us everything we need to know. And back to kind of Amanda's question here. Now, if Amanda lives in Texarkana, now she can go through and see what's up for election on any given year. Let's say 2067. In the year 2067, they will be electing Ward 4 and 6. And then she can come here to her map and see what is Ward 4 and 6. And that's going to be these 2 right here. So, let's do one more of these because I think I'm hitting all the high points actually between these 2. So Palestine is next. Election page. Here we go, election information. City Council elections, general. This one's super easy. City Secretary serves as the elections administrator for the City of Palestine. The governing body of the city will consist of a mayor and 6 council members and shall be known as the City Council of the City of Palestine. The mayor is elected at large in an odd-numbered year, and in each even-numbered year, council members shall be elected from districts 1, 3, and 5, and in each odd-numbered year, council members shall be elected from districts 2, 4, and 6. City Council serves for a 2-year term. Okay. Mayor's odd. Regular city elections shall be held annually in May. Okay, so I'm going to tell you off the bat, I already know that these are elected at large. And my hint on this is that they do different districts and even in odd-numbered years. So something you will never see is any city that does district elections that doesn't have their districts either all be on odd years, all be on even years, or rotate like these 3-year terms do, where your district could be on an odd or an even year depending on the election. The reason they do that is because odd number years get much lower voter turnout, and it would make certain districts a lot easier to run for than others. So knowing that, mayor is odd, as is 2, 4, and 6. So 2023 is an odd year. M, 2, 4, and 6. And then in even numbered years, I think it was 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, 5. Okay, no, I don't. That's not what I wanted. Let me format this to text. Plain text. Okay, So I have now filled out. In fact, I'm going to delete these because we actually got everything we needed. So these are 3 completely different municipalities with completely different rules and completely different term cycles. And this is how we do each one of these. I wish I could give you. One more thing. We want to put here at large because they're all elected at large. I wish I could go through and tell you that there is a simple process that you can do A, B, and C and get these answers. But as you saw, each of those different municipalities had a completely different process by which that information was found. And I have a similar sheet over here for ISDs. You can fill out your information, use a very similar process to find out that. And if you have other things you want to put in here, like hospital districts, water districts, whatever, you can fill that out. Once you're done with that, what you're going to get, let me get my screen back to where it is a sheet like I've made for Denton. These are all the municipalities in Denton. In Denton County that touch it any kind of way. And as you can see, there's a few of them. And they don't have a certain pattern. Some of these have mixed at-large, not at-large candidates. In fact, which one was that? I think it was Dallas? Oh, which one? Here. Oh, Denton. So the city of Denton has place 5, 6 in the mayor at large, where 1, 2, 3, and 4 are districts. Each one does something different. Dallas elects a mayor every 4 years and elects all their council positions every 2 years. Carrollton holds elections 2 out of 3 years. They're all at large elections. They're elected at large, but they have to reside within these districts. And then every 3 years, they take a break from elections. As you can see, there's no pattern or rhyme or reason, but what I can do now is if I have a member who tells me that they want to start looking at running for office, they want to start learning how to be a candidate, they want to seek higher office in the future, and I say, okay, you want to run for office? Where do you live? And they say, well, I live in Lake Dallas. And I say, okay, are you doing anything in 2023? Well, no. Well, it does look like, actually, that's a bad example. It said I live in Justin. There's 3 spots open that you can run for if you live in the city of Justin. And I can give that to them year over year over year. If they tell me, 2023 isn't good, but I do want to run in 2025, cool. I will tell you what offices are available in 2025 for any city within my county. And this is something I can hand off to the next person. This was probably 12 hours getting all this together, but I only had to do it once, and it's good for who knows how long. So this is kind of the main meat that I think any county who is going to be serious about running local elections and recruiting local candidates needs to know is getting this spreadsheet done. I do want to point out, just because I think it's fun, Hebron in Denton County. You'll notice that I put no website, unknown. Hebron actually does have a city council of sorts. The only reason Hebron exists is to prevent other municipalities from encroaching in on them. They're literally run on a shoestring. Their city council exists as kind of a foe. So anyway, they don't have anything listed on their website, and they're never going to. So it was a fun little one. I got to spend a lot of time researching to find out that they don't actually intend to do any governing on their city, which, honestly, I don't really see a need to run anyone there because we already won that one. That's ours. Okay, so not a whole lot left here. So anyway, I hope everybody will make an attempt to make one of those for themselves. And so you've gotten that, you've gotten your candidate, you've You've listed them out. You've matched up everything. January and February are going to be around the corner, and that is your time to file all the election paperwork. You're going to want to check the city and ISD websites for dates and requirements. They are required by the SOS to post the dates that you have to file with them by mid-December. So come mid to late December, they have to have the date in January or February that you need to file paperwork posted on their website. And they also will have to tell you where to file your campaign finance paperwork. I highly recommend that if you're serious about helping your candidates, you sit down with them and help them get on the website and get that information. Because if you have a candidate who is serious and they miss a paperwork deadline, your county didn't get a candidate. So it's in your interest to assist there. Also, in January and February, you're going to want to be campaigning. This is not the meat of your campaigning time, but it is going to be the meat of your gathering funds. So you need to be raising funds. You also need to be doing a lot of planning, getting your districts lined out, figuring out who can volunteer in your campaigns, figuring out where you need to be block walking, figuring out how many people live in your district, figure out how many people voted in the last election. You need to have a number in your head, how many votes your candidate needs to have to win, and then add some fluff on there, and you need to go get commitments by that many people. You can do this by going to previous election results and just seeing what it takes. And a lot of these municipalities will have a runoff. So they'll have an election, they'll have 6 candidates. The top 2 candidates will then run in the runoff. So you need to have the final number, but you also need to have the number in your head of how many votes do I need to get into that runoff? And have both those going. If you are running for city council, water board, ISDs, anything that has regular meetings, you and your candidate need to be attending every single one of those meetings, preferably before you file for office, but for sure from the moment you file office onward. Because if you can't show up to those meetings, your opponents are going to attack you on it. And, well, they should. Meet the people you're going to be working with. If you have a problem with the way the city council is doing something, which I don't imagine you won't if you're running for one of their spots, be real direct about what the problem is and what you're going to do to fix it. That does not mean you need to be a dick to everybody in the room, and that does not mean you need to be making enemies for the office you're about to occupy. Being in office is about working with people, and you need to be preparing yourself to win that office. I was asked a question earlier about L2, and so I am going to circle back around to that, Susan. So, what is L2 and how is that going to help with this plan your campaign phase? Well, let's take a look. One sec. Okay, this is what you're going to see when you first log into L2. Okay, I'm actually going to turn off, these are some random filters I had turned on I was showing someone else how the system works. Okay, so we have all filters reset. So this is a map of Texas, and each one of those little dots that you're seeing is a household. Once the state party gets everything together, counties will be able to log in and see this for their county. And so we'll want to filter down to, let's say, municipality, city, and we want to go to Texarkana. Let's see. Oh, here we go, Texarkana City. Boom. I can zoom in here. Now, some of these cities, it is going to have a district where you can filter out a district, but even if it doesn't, I have here, I'm now going to go back a couple slides. To here, to the one we did. Okay, I'm going to go to Texarkana. We'll look at our districts, and let's say we are running in District 6 here, right? Should be able to come here. Oh no, I don't want that. Is it this one? Or is it this one? Here we go. All right, District 6. So I'm going to see that it comes over here for right here on the border, and this looks like North Loop 220B and 223. Okay. So I want to come back over here to L2. North Loop, right here. It looks to me, Richmond Road. Is that Richmond Road right there? Yeah, Richmond Road, right here. Okay, alrighty. This coming up right here is this guy right here. So those are all my households. And I can see that there's actually, let's look right here. These are actually look like prime neighborhoods. And what's interesting that I'm seeing in this District 6 where my candidate's running, I see not only a dense population, but I see a bunch of purples in here. Let's look at this household. Here, this is a mixed household with both Democrat and Republican data. I see a bunch of grays, people who might not be affiliated with any party. Honestly, if I was running an election in District 6 of Texarkana, I would be hitting this neighborhood so hard right here. I don't live in Texarkana. I don't know what directly is in there, but that's where I would be planting my grounds. And so this, I mentioned earlier getting a feel for, hold up. Getting a feel for, getting a map, making it out, getting a feel for where your people are, and then planning out everything. This right here is exactly what I'm talking about. And this is what needs to be happening. And I'm going to get back to that page. In that January, February time. Hopefully that gives a pretty good overview of L2 and what it can offer for someone running a municipal election. March and April, We're going to be mid-campaign. This right here is like prime time. When you're going to be getting most of your votes, when you're going to be touching those people. This is like all hands on deck. We want to be putting block walking. Get your volunteers out there. Honestly, my biggest advice for anyone trying to wrangle volunteers to do this kind of stuff, do not let your volunteers come work for you and not leave without having fun. When you're done with block walking, go down to Little Caesars and get some hot and ready pizzas. Feed your people. Make a social aspect to it. Try and do something once in a while that is just purely fun, because it will keep them coming back. And during these 2 months is when you need to have, you need people helping you. You can't do it alone. Put out signs. Hopefully in that January, February place, you were able to raise some money and you've printed out some signs. Host coffees. This is a huge one that I have been directly told years ago, actually, that the Republicans and Democrats were doing. And then I recently was downloading some of their county chair material, and they specifically mentioned these coffees. So what is a coffee? When you're out block walking, you're talking to somebody about your candidate. Maybe your candidate's around and they get to meet and shake hands. And they're really excited about this candidate. What you want to do is stop and say, hey, I'm really glad we got to talk to you. I'm really glad you're excited. I think we're going to win city council here. Would you mind helping us out? And they're, how can I help? What can I do? Say, real simple. You have a lovely home here. Would you mind putting on a pot of coffee, calling a few of your neighbors? This can be today, this can be next weekend or whatever. Invite your neighbors over. Billy over here, who's running for office, is going to come over and just introduce them to your neighbors. Let them meet them, let them make their own decision. And let them word of mouth spread the word. And if one of them has a friend who's in another neighborhood that you need to touch, ask them to do a coffee. Get people to invite people over and ask for people to come over. Look for speaking events. Put out press releases. Any earned press we can get. I mean, I'll take unearned press, but earned press we can get is a huge win for us. Register voters. These elections can be won by very small margins, by a very small number of people. If you can find a young voter and get them activated and get them registered, and they go out and vote for you, those votes, more than anything, make a difference in these local elections. So getting people registered can actually make the difference in one of these elections. And again, I continue to attend every single meeting of the office you are running for. Continue to do that. Early voting, that's going to be in in late April. Get people to the polls. Again, these elections, every vote counts, and do not let up on campaigning in early voting season. You need to be all the way across the finish line. And then finally, May. The elections are very early in May. First Saturday in May, so you're looking at somewhere between the 1st and the 7th. Host an event, have a drink. This is the kind of the same election night stuff from the last training. We want to do it again for election night. Make sure to pick up after yourself. Don't leave a mess. It'll leave a bad taste in the mouth of the voters, especially if you don't win. You may want to run again, and you don't want to be known as the guy who left signs all over the place. Release a statement, and put out a press release. And then do a postmortem. You want to do an internal report on what went right, what went wrong, how much you spent, what you got in return, and how you can do better for the next election. This is going to, push that momentum forward for your next candidate. You want to be documenting your wins and losses so that we can continue to move that ball down the court and eventually start to get these offices. So, that said, we are at the end, so I'm going to go to the Google Meet and open up for voice Q&A and hope this all comes through. Oh boy. On the audio. There we go. Where is it? Participants. Okay. Everybody should be able to unmute their own microphone here.
Can confirm mic works.
Awesome. Anyone have any questions?
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
Which things?
Sorry, I had to.
No, you're fine.
I think he means all the
Yeah.
things.
I'm stupid for this presentation. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, if there are no questions, we can call it a night, y'all.
Thank you very much for putting this on.
Thank you guys for attending. Jeff?
Yeah, well, I guess I don't know. I thought this was about how to recruit local candidates, and I didn't really hear much about that. So it would seem like it was mostly about like looking up when elections are for different.
Oh, sure.
things.
Yeah, I can speak on that some more. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Because like in my county, for instance, we have sort of a core group of older people that come to county meetings, but it's not like I have some pool of people to ask to run for office. So
Sure. Yeah.
it's kind of scratch in that area.
Yeah, so I have a sheet for my county, and I don't really want to bring it up because it's got some personal information for them. But here we go. I'm trying to find the slide. Okay, here we go. So what I would recommend is after you get kind of your municipalities listed out, you said you have a pool of people. Let me take a guess. Are you 4 people or like what are we talking?
I don't have a pool of people because I could be wrong, but I don't anticipate any one of our regular county meeting people is going to want to run for city council or anything like that. It's possible that somebody does, but I doubt it.
So I would already off the bat kind of push back on that or encourage you not to make that assumption. Whether or not you know them, have a intimate history with them or whatever. So I was kind of under that same assumption as well. And the way I kind of combated it was I went through and went on my membership rolls, which is the thing I don't want to bring up, and found their address. And then found out from that what they were all eligible to run for. And went individually to everyone and said, hey, you're eligible for this. Is this something you're interested in running for? And I've actually gotten some people who gave back interest who weren't showing any interest when I was kind of casting a wide net. But I personally think on these municipal elections, it is easier and better to find libertarians and get them to run, or encourage them to run, should I say, than it is to find general candidates and convince them that they're libertarian. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, people who are already running kind of already have their own reasons in mind for why they want to run. Now, those could be very libertarian reasons. They could be very unlibertarian reasons. But if they are trying to get with a party in a municipal election, a party doesn't necessarily grant them election ballot access, right? So the only other real benefit for them joining a party are either A, because that party already aligns with their beliefs, or B, because they think there's a voting base there. And I'm sorry if I'm just going to be real blunt about this. If I'm trying to win an election and I want to affiliate with a party simply for a voter base, Libertarian Party is not who I'm talking to. I'm going to go to the dominant party in that particular county and go ask them to support me.
Can I comment on that?
Sure, yeah, please.
Yeah. So, this is just from personal experience, and this may differ based on the city where the elections are taking place and how the general residents within those cities view the municipal elections. But in my experience, I've run against candidates that did go heavy on the party endorsement and recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
And I've run against candidates that have completely stayed out of it, where they avoided party affiliation 100%.
Sure.
Now, if somebody asked them what party they are a member of, they would respond with that. But you have residents that view local elections that they are partisan, even though they're nonpartisan.
Correct.
And they will always ask what party you're a member of. And then you'll also have residents who say if you're going heavy in a party, they don't want to elect you because they should be nonpartisan. So
Yes.
you kind of have to look at it and see what is the dominant in that city before you make that decision. Do you want to go with the party or not?
Correct. And I'm glad you said that, because it kind of circles me all the way back around to the point I was kind of drifting away from, is that the advantages in partisan elections are not as clear in nonpartisan elections. So it becomes even more important that we are prudent in who we nominate or endorse, rather. Because, I mean, you can find someone running for city council and endorse them, but to find a libertarian is a lot more difficult. And it almost comes around to the point that unless you just strike gold, you just find that perfect candidate who was always libertarian but didn't know they were libertarian, never really been involved in party, and they happen to be running for city council or local ISD, and they hear about the libertarian message and they're so awestruck that they want to be affiliated with your party. Unless that case just happens to be what happens in your city, you are much better off finding people who are libertarian and turning them into candidates than you are finding candidates and turning them into libertarians.
What we plan on doing is both. My goal is to run libertarians as candidates, but for all the positions that we don't have candidates running, send out surveys with questionnaires to all the candidates, find out which ones are the most libertarian leaning, and ask if they would like our recommendation.
Yes, the other thing that you might consider doing, as far as I'm glad you mentioned recommendations, and I was actually talking to Bear County people about this, is hosting some kind of event or survey or however you're going to collect your data, and instead of saying we endorse this candidate, because candidates can be complex, they can have maybe some views that we like a lot and some views that we don't. Make it more issue-based. So maybe one candidate is, they want to decriminalize marijuana in the city, but they're terrible on guns, and another candidate's great on guns. You can actually endorse their positions. Like give them an A rating when it comes to Second Amendment and a C rating when it comes to this. And that does a couple things. One, if they get an A rating in some category, they may want to list on their website, and we have an A rating from the libertarians on drug reform, However, y'all don't have to go out and say we endorse that candidate, so when they go out and do something, they raise taxes, you haven't attached your name to them as a whole. You just said, no, we endorse their position on the Second Amendment. But to your point, maybe you do find that perfect candidate that is completely worthy of an endorsement. So.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anyone got anything else?
All good here.
Okay. All right, everybody. I really appreciate y'all coming out. Hopefully, this was helpful, informative, not too much of me rambling. And we will see y'all again. I'm not sure if we're going to have a training in December or not with holidays, but I will announce as soon as we know.
Just for my information, the additional trainings would be the same thing, or would they be something different?
It'll be a different subject, but it will be this similar kind of format.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody.